Shalom Aleichem. We are continuing with our exploration of the Mashal HaHindik of Rav Nachman Breslov. Hopefully everyone still got this story vividly in their mind. Basically, just again, very, very briefly, the Turkey prince, this prince, who believes he's a turkey, is healed by a wise gentleman, the tzaddik, who also strips himself naked and joins him under the bed, and through showing the prince that he could still be a turkey and still act in a more appropriate way, the tzaddik is able to restore the turkey prince to the prince. Now, last time we spoke, we focused in on who the chacham was, the chacham. Now we're going to be focusing on the frame of the opening of the book of the story of the Maisa, which is the Melech and the Ben Melech. And when we look at different sources, but I think the Megillah might be the clearest. We know that there are many allusions to Hashem. Hashem's name does not appear in the Megillah, but at certain key phrases in the Megillah are understood by the commentaries to be referring to Hashem. So when it says HaMelech or Melech, this could be referring to, of course, Hashem. So the Melech in this story is, of course, HaKadosh Baruch Hu, may his name be blessed, Hashem. And therefore the Ben Melech is the prince. And who's the Ben Melech? So the Ben Melech is, of course, Bnei Yisrael and each individual. Because it doesn't say, there was a group of people, it specifies an individual. So this should be, when we analyze this, we should look at a specific individual, one person, you being the son or daughter of God. And as is made very clear, the king is very pained over this confusion on behalf of the prince. And it's interesting because we have Hebrew words for prince. It doesn't actually use the word prince. It always uses the word Ben Melech. That term actually appears numerous times in the story. And so therefore this is to highlight to us, this sort of identity crisis, if you will, of each individual on an individual level. And not to get too personal, but this point of the story, this Nakuda, I think, is what draws me most to this story, because it's very easy to have a lack of confidence, especially in our generation. And this is from countless conversations, and again, from my own personal experiences. Sometimes we sell ourselves short, and we really say, I'm one way, I can't be another. And the genius of the Chacham is he never says, don't be a turkey. He says, embrace the identity you have, but you can expand it, and it's always one level at a time. But at the end, he becomes the complete whole person, the Ben Melech. What I'd just like to add, which is not so much in the story, but I'd like to add is that in other versions, other stories of Rabbi Nachman, he spends a little bit more detail on the ebb and flow of a person's rising and falling. And this could be somewhat, in brackets, incorporated in the story, because a person could sort of, at each stage, when a person has this, like we said, this identity issue or this lack of confidence, a person can sort of ebb and flow in that, right? One moment he's able to, quote unquote, keep his shirt on. And at other times he slips back into the delusion of, and forgetting that he's really a prince, and he thinks he's just a turkey. But leaving that point aside, it really gives us sort of the story gives us a lot of insight into what we need to sort of tell ourselves. And sometimes we have to be that tzaddik for ourselves to remind ourselves, I'm just taking this one step. This doesn't mean I'm going to be a different person. I can still be who I am with all my faults. I don't have to run away from them. I don't have to, I can still identify myself the way I've always have, but I can expand into, this new strength. And by doing them one at a time, which we'll hopefully discuss a little bit greater detail, how the story is, how this person is able to build up that identity in a very logical way, please God, in another lecture. So we'll just quickly reiterate. So again, the Melech is, of course, HaKadosh Baruch Hu. The Ben Melech is really each one of us. We also discussed how sometimes we have to be that tzaddik for ourselves and just say, we're not changing our identity. If we identify with, if we think we're one way or have to be a specific way, or identify ourselves a specific way, that could all be true. And at the same time, we could still, please God, with small steps, expand our abilities.